Can married couples work together? That's what we're going to answer in this video. Stay tuned. Can a married couple work together? Okay, that's my answer. No, they can't. They can't work together because they're not ready to work together. If you as a couple are thinking about working together and you don't know how to set this up, I'm going to tell you no, don't do it. You're going to cause problems and you're going to fight, you're going to argue, and you're going to blame each other, and you are going to not talk to each other. One of you is going to end up sleeping on the couch, and then you're going to lose money and your business is going to struggle, and it's just not going to work. The answer is no. Now, after you watch this video, I bet you could work together. But if you don't do some pre-thought here and some pre-planning, you're going to mess this up really bad. Now, why do I know this? My wife and I have worked together now for over 17 years. And in the beginning, the answer should have been no. We have argued. We have fought over things. We have had silent treatments that we've given each other. We've had contention and conflict and all this stuff happen in our life, and we seriously were not prepared. Good thing we really are fully committed at our marriage, or oh geez, I would have drove her nuts and she would have drove me nuts, and I don't know where we'd be by now. But you got to get ready for it. So the answer is no. Do not work together until you listen to these steps and you do these steps. Okay, step number one. Step number one, you need to take the different parts of the business and you need to take and draw a line down the middle, and you need to write down what you're going to do and what they're going to do. There has to be a division. Two people working together as a couple and a business, if there's not a line down the middle, then guess what happens? Assumptions. And when you assume, there's always going to be some kind of drama, and someone's going to be mad at somebody else because you were supposed to do that. No, you're supposed to do that. That was your responsibility. You got to draw the line of the responsibilities. Now, this is going to change over time. But right now, you draw the line. What are you going to do? What are they going to do? And if they don't fully agree with their side, you're going to have problems. This needs to be negotiated, talked about, worked out, and give yourself some time. Really, give yourself some time. Like, take a couple weeks to sort through this and to make this list more agreeable between the two of you. Because my wife and I, with Kim and I, we have a line down the middle. I have what I'm responsible for. She has what she's responsible for. Now, notice I'm saying responsible, meaning that if I don't do my part, I am responsible for this part. It's me. And so I get in trouble if I don't do my job, and she gets in trouble if she doesn't do her job. Now, how do we get in trouble? Well, the trouble is we don't yell at each other. We don't fire each other, but we do have discussions, and we do get to point the finger and say, that was yours, and you didn't do it, and it fell apart, and that's because of you. So that's called accountability. It's not mean. Responsible and accountable. Responsible and accountable. And everything that's on my list, I get the final say-so. Everything on her list, she gets the final say-so. I offer my opinions to what she's doing. She can offer her opinions. But since I'm accountable and responsible, I get to make the final decision. And then over here, she still makes the final decision because she's accountable and responsible. Now, we can go ask each other for advice. We can talk about things. We can plan things. But when it comes down to the final decision, it is left up to the person who is over that particular part. They get to learn by their choices and if it works or if it doesn't work. But this is super, super important. And if you're not willing to do this, then the answer is no. Don't work together. This, you can work together. You can work together. Now, the next part that you need to come up with after you divide up your responsibilities, the next part that is going to make a really big difference is you need to have some ground rules about how you go about doing business. What are the rules? And underneath the rules, there is the do and the do not. This is how we do business. This is how we do not do business. And this is probably a list that's going to keep growing over time as you have experiences. And those experiences are going to teach you things. But a couple working together and you don't have rules, you're going to have problems. Rules keep you safe and them safe. And you might find yourself coming back to the rules and going, wait, what's the rules about this? And this is going to be a really smart list for you guys to build along the way. And most likely you're going to build this because of you had issues or because you had challenges and you're learning along the way what to do and what not to do, right? But okay, so you divide the responsibilities and you both agree on it. You then have rules to govern what's going on. Okay, ready for the next part? Next part is you also have to have an agreement on hours of operation. And what that means is when are you open and when are you closed? Because if a couple works together in business, what that actually means is you could be open for business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, Kim and I, we negotiate this. We have office hours. You know, our office opens up at 8:30 and our office closes at 5:30. But we don't work by office hours. And what I mean by that is sometimes my appointments start at 4:30 in the morning and at noon, I'm done. And I go from noon until 4 o'clock and I take 4 hours off in the middle of the day. And then I pick it back up at 5 and then I work till 11 o'clock at night. So I work from 5 to 11 and 4:30 till noon. Now that's more than 8 hours a day, but sometimes that's what my schedule is. And sometimes the schedule gets negotiated that we're going to work from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. 3 days in a row, and then we take a day off. But we have to negotiate that. We have to talk about that. We have to plan that. Because if it's not planned when you're working, when you're not working, what's going to happen is you're going to sit down to your desk as your spouse is getting up from their desk. And you're going to go, wait a minute, are you working? And they're like, no, I've been working for 7 hours. I'm taking a break. Well, I'm just sitting down to work. You should work too. And there's going to be all this miscommunication and assumption going on, and you're going to fight. And you're going to think that they're cheating. You're going to think they're cheating because you're going to try to measure them, but it's not written anywhere. But a couple that works together and they're doing and they don't have a calendar and a schedule what they talked about and they planned it out and my wife and I, we have a calendar just for her and I about how we plan when we're working. And it's saved our marriage. Because that way we're looking ahead in the week and deciding when we're starting, when we're ending, so it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise I'm getting up at 4 a.m. 4 days in a row. It's not a surprise that I'm up till 2 a.m. finishing a project because Kim sees it and she knows that's the calendar. So she doesn't feel guilty and that I also am not looking at her going, are you doing anything? So you got to negotiate your hours and put it in the calendar. And then you need to do everything you can to follow that schedule. Because if you're not talking about the on and off times, you're going to argue about it. Because you're going to think the other one isn't doing their job. And that's going to help you work together. But if you don't put that together, don't work together. Okay, one more. Help you out here in what you're doing. The last one, super important. Super important. Here it is. Separate the two. You're not married to your work. There's a time and place to work, and there's a time and place to be married. So how do you be married and work together? How do you do that? Well, over here on the married side, you date each other. You go on dates often. I think a couple who works together actually needs to date 3 to 4 times a week. Seriously, go to lunch, go for a drive together, go for a walk together, go sit in the hot tub together, take a break, but you're having dates. You need to plan and schedule times to be with each other, and you're not talking about work, you're not talking about products, services, people, employees, clients, customers, schedules, bank accounts. You're not talking about that. So over here, be able to disconnect and stay connected. But this comes and goes, this stays constant. But you got to date each other more often. Special little moments. Because over here, this can be intense, super intense. And if you don't come over here and be all lovey with each other, then intense sneaks over here and starts to bite this, starts to eat this up. And then you don't have a marriage anymore. You just have a business partner. And once your spouse turns into a business partner, then the intimacy and the passion just dissolve. It goes away. Why do I know this? Because of my mistakes. I've let work come over here before, and I've watched it eat this up, and then we had to go back over here and start rebuilding this. But what you do is you plan special moments so that you can show that you are married. So like if Kim and I finish a meeting and it's time for a special moment, we get home, we get out of our work clothes and we get dressed up in our go for a walk clothes, and then we go walk for a couple miles. And while we're walking, we're holding hands and we're just talking about nature and the neighbors, and what's going on in the neighborhood. But we're holding hands because work was so intense. This needs some healing, especially if you're going to work together. You're going to need more healing and more connecting moments over here. But what happens is couples don't plan for that. And what happens is the marriage starts to pay the price. Do not sacrifice your marriage for a great running business. It is never worth it. Why would you want to lose this over trying to build a great business? This has to be the priority. And after work, you have in your calendar special moments planned so that you can keep that marriage in a good, soft, gentle connection. Then, now, you can work together. Now you can be together. Now you can work because you've got these things put together. But if you're not going to do the prep work in thinking this out, you're going to mess it up. And so don't. If you're not going to do the work like I just showed you, don't try it. You'll lose your marriage. Let's make this a definite yes, that you and your spouse can do great work working together in business. But you got to remember that it's not the business that builds great marriages. You build a great marriage, you'll do a lot better in business. Down here below, right down here below, you'll see a link that is a link to a class called Royalty and Romance. My wife and I, Kim and I, teach that class, and it's about building strong marriages. Getting on the same page, being super clear, super strong, so that the business doesn't cause havoc in your marriage. The marriage has got to move the business, not the business move the marriage. Click the link, check it out. If it's for you, love to see you, love to support you in building a super strong marriage. And also, by the way, click subscribe. You know you're getting great content.